as you can see, I have a new camera, and it's all ground level now because most of the work I'm going to be doing is at this level. So those cameras that are on the water tank shed and the balcony are just not going to be able to look inside here and see this. So anyway, if you're watching this, it's about 10 minutes long, maybe 15, I can't remember, but you're going to be able to see how I got to the end result when I finally get the Super Coop finished and do the the actual introduction of it and the walkthrough. Then you'll have an idea of how I got there by watching these little progress reports. So anyway, right now what I'm working on is the inside of the coop wall. Now there's two parts to this project. I call it a Super Coop, but that part behind me is actually the chicken run, and the part that I'm working on or I'm facing is the chicken coop. That's where they sleep. There's no food and there's no water, there's no nothing. They go in there to sleep, they go there to roost, and that's like their safest zone. It's going to be completely insulated, as you can see above, and the back wall is insulated. Every bit of it's going to be insulated, everything I can anyway. So it keeps all the drafts out. That's what that paper barrier is for. And it will be completely sealed. It'll be nice and toasty warm in there in the winter, because we get down into the 20s for about 6 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year. So, which chickens have no problem with. They cold is fine, heat is their worst enemy, and that's why, proper ventilation and stuff in the summertime. Because like today, you're watching this, it's 100 degrees in there. I'm working in this. Luckily, it's shady. It's like 97, 100 degrees, something like that. So, anyway, that wall that I'm working on right there is going to be where all the electronics are that control all of the features. The cameras, the actuators, the lights, the all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of electronics that go in that wall. And that little piece I'm putting in right now is a filler, because that's a 2x4 on the top. And I'm putting in 2x6s vertically to hold the electronics. So I have to put that little 2x2, it's a 1.5 by 2 or something like that. It's going to fill in the difference, because there's going to be a white panel board that goes across all of it. The inside of the coop will look all white. That's all you'll see is white. All this stuff that I'm putting in now is going to be hidden behind walls. And so that's what I'm working on right now. And then once I get that done, I'm going to move around to the front. It's hard doing this stuff alone. I mean, there's nobody going, hey, oh, you can clamp that, do this, do that. So it's just me and my clamps is all I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to work on the front. The front is where the nesting boxes are, and above the nesting boxes is the main vent. It's the biggest vent that I have in the whole thing. There's going to be vents on the sides. Those triangular openings there will be as much vent as I can put in there. But for right now, I'm just going to work on framing up the front of the coop. And then I'm going to build the vent in the wood shop. I'm going to build all the doors and the vents in the wood shop, because it's just a better environment for it. Oh, time to take dogs for a walk. So I'll get to that here in a second. I'm going to actually go out into the wood shop and start building after I get all my studs in to support the nesting box. Right now I'm putting the upper frame for the big vent. Most of this wood is about 1.5 years old and out in my yard, covered under plastic and strapped tight with straps. So it's not horribly warped, or horribly weathered, but it's not the smoothest stuff in the world. It's not straight. It's not perfectly straight. None of it ever is. Whatever you get from Home Depot or Lowe's is just junk. You spend for an hour going through all the boards trying to find a straight one. I had all this delivered, and when you have it delivered, it usually comes in pretty straight. You get the crap when you go get it yourself, but when they bring it to you, it's usually pretty good. And if you leave it all strapped up tight before you use it, like I say, this stuff's a year and a half old and sitting out in the snow and stuff. So, but covered in plastic. I didn't leave it to get wet, and but it's old. It's dried, so that made it easier to paint. When I painted it, the paint stuck really nice. And pretty much everything's painted. The stuff that's not painted now that you see, that's all going to be inside walls. You'll never see that. Just like my flaws. Any flaws that I do, as far as one end is at 21 and a half, the other end is 21 and a quarter, so it's not perfectly square. You'll never see it. I save all the, when I do my trim and my exterior and interior walls, that's where I'm really careful to keep it as straight cosmetically as I can. And I've been doing this for a lot of years. I've built a lot of things over the years, and I can't ever look back and go, oh yeah, I forgot that one was like 2 inches off. When you're building a structure that's 27 feet long, 11 feet tall, you're gonna be off an inch and a half or half an inch here and there. Not an inch and a half, that's too much, but I would say half an inch or less, kind of here and there. Me and my clamps. So let's go out to the wood shop, and I'm gonna build that vent door. This is my planer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2x4s, and I'm going to make, they're actually 2x4s, they're 1.5 by 3.5, they're not 2x4, but I'm going to make these 1 by 3.5, because I want it to be a little bit lighter, if I can. That right there is a dust collection system I put in years ago, and what it does is it sucks the sawdust out of the machine, goes into that cyclone, and drops it into that 55-gallon drum. Here's about a 6-foot board. Pain in the ass to try to do it with one hand. I'm trying to hold the phone in one hand and feed the board with the other. Yeah. Anyway, and it's shaving off about, I don't know, about a 1/16 of an inch every time I pass it through. And there's all the shaving going down in there. And I have a hose going to every machine in the shop. Every machine. So there's no dust, there's no sawdust in the shop, except for on my shirt there, huh? And this thing is called a drum sander, and it's really, that's made for finishing. When you're doing furniture and stuff, you need something like that. But I just want to get these smooth so I don't get splinters in my hand when I'm working. Damn it, it's so hard to open these hatches with one hand. I got to put it down. But this is a drum sander, and that is the sanding drum. It's not, all it is a belt that goes wraps around this cylinder. That thing's been in there for a year. It's time to replace it anyway. So by putting it in here, it just makes it smooth, sands it, so it's nice and smooth. Not really taking any material away, it's just mainly cosmetic. So, and I can sand the edges. See, it's all smooth there. I can turn the board sideways and raise the cylinder up so that I can put the 3.5-inch edge upward and smooth it off too. And actually, when I was all done, I went over it with an orbital sander to get all the edges, to get it, they're very clean now, except the 2x4s are junk. They got knots in them. And, I put a new sanding belt on the drum because it broke. And here it is in the trash can.
It broke.
That thing was old. It's seen its days.
I didn't like that piece of wood I put
in. There's a brand new
put a new one in.
belt. And that's the vent that I built half a day to build that thing. God. And there it is, hanging above. The nesting box is that big hole, and below that ladder-looking thing. But that vent is going to be open and closed with a electronic actuating arm. And that's just one of many actuating arms that are going to do all kinds of different things in the Super Coop. So it's undersized because I will finish up. I'll square everything up, make it look real pretty with all the trim and weather stripping, so it's airtight. Has to be lightweight, although those actuating arms can lift beds and stuff. They can lift 400 pounds, so that thing I can lift that with one hand at an awkward position. So I'm not sure exactly what it weighs, but it can't be more than 20 pounds. So the actuating arm will have no problem at all. Anyway, stay tuned. I'm gonna keep going. This is 2 days worth of work I'm showing you now, so I'll check back in a week. Thanks.